So this is another video. I'm going to be discussing a couple concepts in this book, Thousand Plateaus by Deleuze and Guattari, excuse me. If you want like an intro to this book, this is not the video. I do have a video which will probably be better. It is in my structuralism and post-structuralism playlist, though. In this video, I kind of would discuss the concepts of either nomadism or nomadology, or the nomadic thought, and also the war machine, which basically, they have a process philosophy where there's no pre-given foundation, there's no stability, there's no truth, absolute truth, meaning there's no fixatedness, there's no true being. There's becoming. It's a process philosophy in that they are focusing it's in a way they're focusing on the event, in that how things become and where things go. They focus on deterritorialization, which basically is something becoming other than itself. That's kind of one of the basic points of their philosophy. Nomadology and the war machine are also very, very important parts of their philosophy. I talked about the machine in a different video, so if you want to get the basic idea of what a machine is to them, that's a good video to go to. However, a war machine is one kind of machine that they talk about among a few others. The war machine is probably a big one, though. The Anti-Oedipus is A Thousand Plateaus and Anti-Oedipus are the two main books that they have written together. They have written one or two others, I think. In Anti-Oedipus, they talk about how life is literally a machine, and a machine is something that produces for the sake of production and doesn't have a subject or a center or a foundation or anything like that. It's something that produces for the sake of that itself. And a war machine relates to the nomad. And the nomad is one who thinks, of course, nomadically. You can kind of in a way understand this as the idea of a person, like say the Mongols in the era of Genghis Khan, or his predecessors and his followers, or his sons and grandsons who followed him. They moved around in that area. They had little huts that they lived in, or I forget what they were called. There were specific names for them. They have huts, and they would move around wherever the food was. The animals, they'd move where that was. They'd move where good terrain was. They'd move wherever, but they would move. And a nomad is basically life, just movement across space, not necessarily space in the spatial way, not necessarily like the historical Mongolian nomad or any other kind of nomad, not necessarily like in space-time, not really necessarily. Could be, not necessarily. But a nomad is a life, or a nomadism or nomadology is the thought process that life is something that moves. That things change, things differ, and difference is a concept that Deleuze writes in his book Difference and Repetition. Deleuze wrote that by himself, and also Derrida employs that term, but uses it in a different way, slightly in a bit different way. Difference is something where things are not always the same. there's no fixatedness, there's no stability. However, things differ and they change and they move and they and they basically they just change a lot. Nomadology is the thought process of that things do move, things do change, and they stay with that. They kind of, in a way, the nomad is one who thinks and lives that way. That life is life is that of movement and change and differing. And in the Anti-Oedipus, where they kind of talk about a little bit more about psychoanalysis and capitalism, the nomad is someone who exists outside the original state, and the state is something that tries to gain control, tries to maintain control, and tries to make things stay a certain way. And a nomad is one who tries to, if we're talking politically, a nomad is one who wants to combat that or fight that. And it's the spirit of the nomad is almost one that is of anarchy in the very best way. But the idea of nomadology is thinking of things as intermezzo, always being between points, moving around, whether it be in space-time or usually talking about your thought process and how you think and how you act, and as to how you think of the way things as they actually are. And how does this relate to the war machine? The war machine is something that tries to, if we're reading in the Anti-Oedipus, the war machine is a machine, as of course it is a machine that produces for the sake of production, but it does have a certain function of resisting the state, resisting control, resisting stability, resisting being itself, resisting any kind of sameness, resisting all of that. The war machine is a tool of the nomad, and the engaged warriors or nomads. That's what they do, is they resist control, and it's basically the state is a hierarchical system, and the nomad wants to resist that, whether it be a political state, a philosophical state, or anything like that. They want to resist it, and that's the spirit of what this is. They're trying to explain. They're not really trying to explain. They're trying to think with the cosmos, and that they are trying to, I guess, in a way, emulate the way things become. They are kind of, and I don't want to talk about them as giving a philosophy. I don't want to talk about them as explaining things, because they're not trying to explain anything. They're, I guess, to say that they're trying to emulate the way things are becoming. To emulate the way things are would be wrong, because they don't think of things as the way things are. They think of things as the way things are to become. But they give a process philosophy in that they talk about things as always deterritorializing and reterritorializing and back and forth, and no true being is ever going to really form. and that they try to emulate reality in this way, even and also as if there is no real reality, except for this eventual process, time philosophy of becoming. And those who agree with them in a way are nomads, and that they are trying to they want to resist any kind of control or hierarchical system, any system in general, and it's kind of interesting to actually read it. I think honestly, in these videos, I'm trying to explain in a cursory way what's going on here, because I couldn't possibly explain it by myself. I think the best way to understand is to read it, because the way that they explain it is they're not really explaining anything, but the way that they try to emulate things through their writing is the best way to kind of get it. But I think this is quite interesting just to think about this. But if you have anything else you want to include here, or that should have been included, and talk about the Nomad or the War Machine, please comment below. I really, I'm totally open. I totally want to hear what you have to say. If you have a good thing to add, or a good better way of explaining it, because that's, I want to improve and grow through all this stuff too. So thank you.